morning to everybody out in YouTube land. This is John Butero back with another video. And as promised, I did say that I was going to go back and try to deal with the rest of that laundry list of things that atheists claim proves the Bible is not true. As it turns out, I've already addressed most of the things that were on the list. I went back and was looking at it again. And so the things that were left over were supposedly scientific inaccuracies that were in the Bible. And I want to tackle them here. And it shouldn't take me very long because as I looked into them, there really wasn't that much to be seen there either. It appeared to be more than what it was. So let's go on ahead and just quickly go through that. And I hope to also address something else before I close out the program too this morning concerning a new atheist video by Christy Burke. And so let me go ahead first of all, though, and finish up that list of some of the things that were supposedly proving that the Bible was inaccurate. One of them was how that the Bible speaks of hares chewing the cud. And so I went back and I looked into that. And from what I could understand, the explanation is according to the way that scientists look at chewing the cud today, no, they don't. However, it does say that hares will also pass food and then they will re-eat the same food. So really, when the Bible speaks about hares chewing the cud, it really comes down to how the Bible means it. Just because the scientific community today doesn't look at them as chewing the cud, it doesn't mean that the way that they looked at it in Bible times, it could have been as chewing the cud. So that's not something that I would consider um, anything that would show that the Bible is not true. Then another thing that they brought up, a scientific inaccuracy, was about insects and how that the Bible mentions certain insects that had four legs. And so what I did was I looked that up and saw that while it is true that insects have six legs instead of four, that a lot of the time they will have, or there are circumstances where they have six limbs but only four legs. So in this case, what we're dealing with is, again, what they were meaning in Bible times when they were talking about them having four legs rather than six legs. And because it does, even when I looked it up online, it said that some insects have six limbs but four legs. That again does not prove the Bible to be false. The other things that it mentioned were things that I could probably easily dismiss, but I'm going to go ahead and go through them. I'm going to take on the I guess the ones that would be the toughest first, and then I'll go down to the other ones. One of them was dealing with how that Jesus was taken to a high mountain, and he was shown all the kingdoms of the earth. And so the what they were saying was that this implies a flat earth. Now, from my standpoint, whenever I've read this story, I've never took it literal that from the top of this high mountain that they could literally see it, in the sense of, like, if I was, looking through one of those, I've been in the mountains before where they have these high up places and you can look through something and you can see into like three or four states or something like that with this magnifying thing. I don't believe that it literally meant that from the top of this high mountain that a person could be up there and could see all the kingdoms of this earth. I've never really taken it that way. So from my way of looking at it, that doesn't prove anything whatsoever. I just believe that, he took him up on this high mountain and they were able to see it spiritually, more or less. But let's say it was literal. Let's say that it was from the idea of a flat earth. Um, from the way I look at it, I still don't know one way or the other without actually being able to get in a ship and go up into space. I don't know what shape the earth is. So I don't care what the scientific anything says. I haven't got my mind made up one way or the other. So I don't, whether it be flat or whether it be round, I have no idea. And I'm not even going to try to say one way or the other. There was a time where I would have been 100% that the flat earth thing was complete hogwash. But at this point, I'm totally undecided on it. But nevertheless, I don't take that literal. So it wouldn't matter anyway. 1 Samuel 2 and 8, reference to the earth being on pillars. Um, I don't know one way or the other, but I never took that literal either. I never took it literal that it was necessarily on pillars in the sense of the way that we look at it, but it could be as far as I'm concerned. I have not seen any proof one way or the other. And I do not believe the scientific community because there's so many things where that they claim that they know something and they don't, which I'm going to get to in just a few moments. Almost every single thing that the scientific community is saying about space or stars or any of that stuff is all theory, because how would they know without building a spaceship and going up to the stars? They don't really have any way of knowing. And a lot of the stuff that they say about the composition of stars and stuff like that is all based on colors and stuff like that, which that doesn't prove anything either. So as far as I'm concerned, it could be on pillars. I don't care what the scientific understanding of our day is. That doesn't mean anything. That's just what they believe today. So it doesn't mean anything. And of course, now I also want to deal with Revelation, where it talks about stars falling to the earth. Some people actually believe that that's going to be meteors, and when it says stars falling to the earth, and that's one way where some people believe that it's not literal stars. However, now I'm going to tell you, I am not convinced about all this Star Trek stuff, where that all the stars are distant suns. They cannot prove that, and I really don't believe that. I believe that I don't believe our sun is the star. I do not believe that the stars are the same creation as the sun. And I do believe they're much closer to the earth than what the scientists believe. And I do believe it's possible they could literally fall to the earth. Now, according to normal scientific understanding of stars, of course not. But I don't trust the science on this. I don't think they've been able to prove it, and they can't prove it. And they can mock me all they want about it, but I'd like to see them prove it. I'd like to see them prove that the stars are literally distant suns with planets and stuff around them. I've even looked this up online, and there's an admission that there is no absolute proof of this. It's what they believe, but there is no absolute proof of this. So again, if they want to mock me about this, I don't believe that the stars are distant suns. I don't believe in all this Star Trek stuff. I believe that the stars are much closer than what most think they are. I don't know that they're as close as some that believe in the firmament being real close to the earth believe, but I do believe that there is a firmament. I think it could be further out than what most people think, but I do think there is a firmament. I do believe that the stars are in a firmament, and I believe that I've actually taken time to take close-up photos of stars, and I don't see anything that even resembles a distant sun. What I'm seeing almost looks like glowing rocks in the sky in a firmament when I take close up pictures of it. Now, they'll say, well, it may be what it looks like, but that's not what it is. Well, I have no proof. There is no proof from any scientist that they're distant suns. I believe that they are completely separate type of thing than the sun. I believe they are closer than what they think, and I do believe they literally could fall from the sky, just as described in Revelation. But the other possibility is that it's meteors that are going to fall to the earth during that time. Only God knows for sure, but I don't think any of that actually proves anything. Then they go back to Genesis and the account of the creation and how the earth was created before the sun and the stars. And they say, well, this goes against the current scientific, what we know, or the scientific understanding. That's what they like to say. I just say the scientific understanding is incorrect, and the Genesis account of creation is correct. I stand by what the Bible says over what the science says of this day, because that's really all it is. It's just what the science of the day is. Then there's scripture about storehouses, or it seemed to imply storehouses of snow and hail. I never took that literal. I never took that as literally that there were real storehouses in the sense of that. I've just, I mean, I know it says that in the sense it comes across like that, but I never took that as literal. If somebody wants to take that as literal, that's fine, but I never took that as literal. Job chapter 38 and 22 speaks about treasures of snow and hail, and that's where they're getting that from, but I don't take that as literal. Then there was Isaiah chapter 11 and 12, talks about four corners of the earth. I do not believe that is saying that the earth is flat. And again, I don't know if it's flat. I'm just going to flat out tell you, I don't even care if people think that's funny. They cannot prove to me that the earth is not flat. And I mean, in different ways, you could look at that. I don't know what the shape of the earth is, as far as if you were to go out into space and look down at the earth. I don't know whether or not the earth is flat or round. And they'll say, well, NASA's got pictures. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've seen a lot of NASA's pictures from space. Things are supposed to be from Mars and different places, and I don't even believe they're legitimate pictures. They look ridiculously fake, and I could go into specifics of why I say that, but I don't believe it, and I have no reason to trust anything that they're saying. Now, that doesn't mean that they are fake. I'm just telling you that's my opinion. But in my opinion, I am not convinced that any of the pictures that NASA has sent back are legitimate. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they have not convinced me of it. The Earth's shape, whether it be flat or round, I have no idea. Now, the Earth could be literally on pillars, and it could be on a flat surface. It could be floating in space flat. I mean, why in the world does everything have to be round? Why do they assume that if you look out into space and you see round planets like Mars or Venus or any of the rest of them, why do they assume that the shape of the Earth has to be round, whether or not why does everything have to be the same shape? So there's that side of it, and there's also the side of it could literally be standing on some kind of pillars. So I'm not convinced one way or the other about that. And personally, I have plenty of reason to doubt them about the round earth. I have been up in a high airplane before. I've looked down at the earth. I don't see this curvage they claim it has to be there. For it to be at the level they claim it does, in order for it to be a round earth, it would seem to me like it would have to be pretty noticeable, especially when you're flying all the way across the United States. And I was flying all the way from Las Vegas all the way to Charlotte at the time. I didn't see any curvature whatsoever. Everything was perfectly flat. I've seen pilots interviewed, and they were asking about whether or not they have to make adjustments for curvature when they're flying, and they claim no. And then the question is, why is that? But yet, when I saw pictures of the supposed rover on Mars, it showed massive curvature on what was supposed to be on Mars. So I just don't buy into that. The other thing they brought up that was supposed to be showing a flat Earth was absolutely stupid. It was in Daniel, and it was a vision about a tree that was supposed to be so high you could see it anywhere on the Earth. It wasn't a real tree. It was a vision. A vision isn't literally anything. It could be almost like a dream type state. That doesn't mean anything. So that one was absolutely silly. But no, I do not believe that the Bible tells us that the earth is flat. Um, the way it is worded, you could take it that way, but it doesn't necessarily say that. The only book that I've ever read that really makes it look like we've got a flat earth is the book of Enoch, which is an extra biblical book. But anything that's actually in the 66 books of the canon, I haven't seen anything that to me says that the earth is flat. It could go either way. So I don't buy into any of that. So really, in reality, I don't think that anything that they've said, just because of our understanding today, the scientific understanding of the day, that doesn't mean anything. Neither does consensus, neither does peer review. None of that is proof. So without proof, I'm not buying into any of that. So that's what I have to say about all of that. And again, anybody that wants to mock or laugh at what I said, give me some proof. I'm talking about something other than the testimony of somebody at NASA. I'm talking about give me some hard proof, not evidence, because I've seen evidence on both sides. I've seen evidence on both sides for flat Earth and round Earth. And both sides can make their argument sound pretty convincing. Just like I see evidence for evolution and against evolution. I've seen evidence on all sides of everything. But I'm talking about, if you're going to try to tell me you've got proof the Bible isn't true, then give me proof, not evidence, because evidence can mean anything. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about briefly about the Christy Burke video. Supposedly there was somebody that was writing into her, and they were talking about how they saw religion as dangerous. And one of the things that Christy Burke was saying, and it basically gives away the real motivation for why they're trying to disprove the Bible and trying to turn people away from Christianity, is because they're a bunch of liberal leftists, and they think that if they can turn people away from God and the Bible, we'll all turn into liberal leftists. They think that without the Bible's influence, we'll all support LGBTQ and we'll all support the genocide against unborn babies. Not true. There is no truth to that. Now, it might make a difference to some people, but to a lot of people like myself, it would make no difference whatsoever. And I know people that are atheists that are conservative. They're just as conservative in their voting record as I am. And I'm friends with people like that, that they're not believers, but they're conservative. As a matter of fact, I used to drive team with a man who absolutely hated the LGBTQ community. He hated them so much. One of his favorite songs was Money for Nothing. And he told me the reason he liked the song so good, the long version of it, was because it made fun of homosexuals. And anybody that's ever heard the song knows that. If you listen to classic rock, you've probably heard the long version of Dire Straits' song "Money for Nothing." But he literally said that he couldn't stand them. I don't know if he was a strong one way or the other on the genocide against unborn babies, but he didn't care about it. It wasn't a voting issue to him. And that's the way I would look at it. If I was a sinner and I just looked at all people as animals, um, first of all, why in the world would I care anything about getting involved in stuff like human rights stuff and all this kind of stuff? If I really saw myself as nothing but an animal, then it would stand to reason that all I would be doing is looking out for myself, as an animal would do. I wouldn't be fighting over civil rights stuff or over women's rights or over anybody's rights. I would be just simply looking to just kind of live my life and, make the best of things. That's what I'd be doing. So you would think that that's the way most atheists would do. But the liberals, a lot of them are atheists, and they think that if we just were suddenly not believing in God, we would suddenly be, supporting all these, feminist things and all of the LGBTQ and all that. Well, that's just not true. As a matter of fact, before I was a Christian, I couldn't stand LGBTQ because I looked at them as just perverts. Now, as a Christian, we're to love all people and pray for them, and we're not supposed to be full of hate and looking at it like that. But I'm talking to sinners today that absolutely cannot stand LGBTQ, so that really doesn't pan out. And then on another side of it, the abortion issue. I've been to the March for Life up in Washington D.C. before, and I was marching right alongside of people that were standing there with big old signs saying "Atheists for Life." And all atheists are not liberal. As a matter of fact, Ayn Rand was anything but a liberal. And, Atlas Shrugged. I mean, I loved that story. And if I was a non believer, I would be that type of an atheist because I'm more of a libertarian conservative. I'd still be voting the same way that I'm voting today. It wouldn't change anything. So the idea, and matter of fact, a lot of Republicans today, a lot of conservatives are anything but Christian. So it's just that I happen to be, conservative across the board. But I've got a lot in common with conservative atheists when it comes down to politics. We get along real good, and the funny thing about it is those kind of atheists aren't trying to take away my faith. They aren't threatened by it, and I don't have to go over witnessing to them. They just know I'm a Christian, and I always figure if they want to know something, they'll come to me and ask me because I'm always available to them. But we're not at each other's throats. We get along real good, and we're all conservative. And, I've also thought about this side of it too. If I was an atheist, I wouldn't care anything about people out there of faith going around putting up manger scenes or the Ten Commandments in the schools or the courthouses or any of that stuff. Why would I care? They're not bothering me any doing those kind of things. It's not a threat to me, even if I'm an unbeliever. Even if I looked at them as superstitious or something, if I don't believe in any God, why the heck would I care if somebody's doing those things? Even, they say, well, I don't want to be free from religion. What's the big deal? I mean, seriously, what's the big deal? The only reason that I can think of why that you have some of them who are all upset about it is because they're leftists who have a political agenda. And that's why they're trying to get everybody separated from their faith. It's got nothing to do with that they're trying to be therapists to you or help you or love you or care about you. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's got to do with they are leftists, and they just think that if they can convert you, they'll turn you into a fellow leftist. But again, like I've said, it wouldn't do it to me. I'd be as conservative as ever. As a matter of fact, if anything, I've become more tolerant of groups like LGBTQ as a Christian, because I don't have any hate for that community. I did at one time, but I don't have hate for that community today. I do not support them. I'm not going to celebrate their sin with them, but I don't hate the people in that community. I know unbelievers, people that are even atheists, that cannot stand LGBTQ. And as I brought it before, no Christian's not going to do violence to LGBTQ people. However, there are not unbelievers who have done all kind of violent acts to them. So you don't you don't know what you're getting into when you say, if people didn't have faith in God, they would suddenly be tolerant of all these people, and they'd suddenly support feminists and all this kind of stuff. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think that a lot would turn into libertarians, and everything would be about self and what would help them. And just as a person who just is looking at what's going on around in the United States right now, just as a American citizen, I would never vote for the Democrats. They are ruining our economy. They are destroying our country. And to me, the Democratic Party's policies with regards to places like Ukraine and stuff like that are escalating tensions between us and Russia to the point where I fear that if they're back in office again, they're going to get us into World War III. I really believe that it would be from a place of peace in this country. It would be far better to vote Republican, because I think that whole situation over there could be resolved very quickly if we quit funding Ukraine. I mean, I just see absolutely no reason for us to be doing that and being involved in that. And I think that we're just increasing the tensions, and we're just doing everything. Really, we're fighting a war against Russia, is what we're doing. And it's kind of a wonder they haven't already done something towards us. And if we continue down that road, I believe that they probably will attack the United States. Now, maybe we'll win. I don't know. But who in the world wants to have a war with Russia? I mean, it's no sense in it, especially over something as silly as this. And I do think that this can be resolved pretty easily. And I really believe that President Trump will be able to put a stop to that war pretty quick. I think that he could broker a peace deal. I actually think almost anybody could if they wanted to. But for some reason, the people that are in power right now are warmongers, and they seem to want to continue to escalate things between Russia and Ukraine, and they want to continue to stir the pot. And I'm just saying we should not be doing that right now, is what I'm saying. We should stay out of that. So I would be voting Republican across the board, whether I believed in God or didn't. And I don't think that it's going to make everybody a bunch of liberals. So just my feeling about that. So if that's the real reason for trying to get everybody converted away from Christianity, I think that's a bad reason to be doing it. And whether it be to Christy or anyone else is doing it, if that's the only reason you're doing it, I think it's a dumb reason to do it, because there's a lot of people like me that have gone from actual hatred towards groups like LGBTQ to actually loving the people, but just not supporting the sin. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of sinners out there that absolutely hate them just because they're different, and they look at them as perverts, and they don't care anything about them whatsoever. And sometimes they'll even do them harm. I would never do that. I'm not the type person that would be over there trying to do harm physically to any group like that. So I don't know that they even realize what they're getting themselves into. If it wasn't for Christianity, I think there'd be a whole lot more violence in the world than what there is. I know you can look back at history and you can find violence in the name of religion, but I haven't seen that going on in the United States involving Christianity. I haven't seen anything like that. And the most of the violence that I'm seeing is actually coming from the left. Most of the serious violence is coming from the liberals, not from the conservatives. And I believe that would continue to be the case. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this video with that. Thank you for joining me today. If you're not a subscriber, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. In the future, I don't know what all I'll be posting on here. Probably more stuff about things about atheists, maybe some just teachings from the Bible. I don't know. Maybe I'll get around to actually having time to do that. But I will be hopefully putting up more videos, more songs. I'm looking to put up more songs that I've written or my wife's written. I've got quite a few already posted. And so, I invite you to check them out, and hopefully I'll have some more of them uploaded soon. But anyway, I want to thank you for joining me today on this program. And again, I hope you'll join me again on the next video.